Good day everyone. So now let's have a quick look about language.
What is language? According to Sapir, language is primarily a human and non-instinctive method of communicating ideas, emotions, and desire through a system of voluntarily produced symbols. And according to Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, language goes beyond just describing real situation, for it primarily aims to form the components of culture. And according to A.H. Gardiner, language in its widest sense means the total of such signs of our thoughts and feelings as are capable of external perception and as could be produced and repeated at will. And according to Henry Sweet, language may be defined as the expression of thoughts and utilizing speech sounds. And lastly, according to Mario A.P. and Frank Gaynor, a system of communication by sound through the organs of speech and hearing among human beings of a certain group or community using vocal symbols possessing arbitrary conventional meaning. Did you know that the word language comes from Latin term lingua? It means tongue, and the French term is langue. Langue associated with human vocal and auditory means of expressing ideas and feelings.
In understanding others' thoughts and emotions, we need to communicate. In so doing, we can express our feelings and ideas, and we can be better understood. This will result in the creation of positive and negative of affections and relationship. Our world will have difficulty functioning if there is no communication. And one important element in this process is language. And we all know that language is a system of communication and consists of a set of sounds and written symbols used by people for communication. Like for example, talking and writing.
So let's proceed to our main topic. So, macro skills. What is macro skills? So, macro skills referred as language skills. It is most commonly known to listening, speaking, reading, and writing in English language. So, macro skills refers to the primary, key, main, and largest skill set relative to a particular context. So, under the macro skills, we have the oral skills, literacy skills, and viewing. So first, we have the oral skills. What are the under of the oral skills? So we have listening and speaking. So listening is the ability to accurately receive and interpret messages in the communication process. So listening has three common modes. We have the competitive, passive, and active. So first we have the competitive listening. So competitive listening is a type of listening that is done when people want to push their own thoughts rather than to listen to the speaker. So for example, if your friend is sharing something to you, and then you insist to share yours too, rather than to listen on her. So that is an example of competitive listening. Second is the passive listening. It is a one-way communication. Listens but not giving feedback. So you only listen, but you're not giving feedback. That is a passive listening. And the third one is the active listening. It includes listening, providing feedback, and asking questions. So we have 10 steps to effective listening by Diane Skilling. So step 1, look at the speaker in the face and the eye. So when you listen, you look to the speaker in the face and in the eye so you can relate to them. Step 2, focus and give attention but relax. So if you are listening, focus and give attention. So we can, and At the same time, you should also relax. Step 3, be open-minded. Step 4, listen and picture what the speaker is saying. Step 5, don't speak while the person is talking. So, if your friend or if someone is talking, don't interrupt them and just listen. Step 6, when the speaker pauses, you may ask clarifying questions. So, if the speaker pauses, that is when you will ask questions or clarify things if you don't understand anything. Step 7, ask relevant questions. Relevant questions wherein you ask questions related to this topic that you are sharing to each other. Step 8, put yourself in the speaker's place or relate to them. Step 9, give feedback. If you are really listening, you can give feedback to them. So give feedback. Step 9, focus as well to non-verbal cues. So if they are comfortable, you can clearly see that, and that is a non-verbal cue.
So next is speaking. So speaking is the ability that makes us superior to others. It is done through the vocalization of human communication. It depends on the context when communication will take place. It can be formal or informal. So there are functions of speaking. We have interaction, transaction, and performance. So interaction is seen in conversation. So it is seen in social conversations. For example, when a taxi driver chats with his passenger, or when a friend is sharing his experience on a vacation. So that is an interaction. Second is transaction. So transaction happens when someone wants to cut across on a message. So there is an act to be done after the message is received. So for example, when a teacher gives instruction about a quiz to her students. So that is an example of transaction. And the third one is performance. So it is when an audience accepts the message spoken. For example, is oration or debate. Next is the literacy skills. So we have, in our literacy skills, we have reading and writing. So first we will tackle about reading. So reading can be used for sharing knowledge, for self-development, or simply for relaxation. So reading comprehension involves decoding symbols with the intention of deriving meaning from the text. So according to Brown, 1989, he suggested the category as outlined below, which is the oral reading and the silent reading. So oral reading is reading aloud. It can be a technique to improve poor readers' word identification in context. So it also improves proper pronunciation and enunciation. So next is the silent reading, or reading silently or quietly. So under silent reading, we have intensive and extensive reading. So intensive reading is reading in detail with specific learning aims and tasks. We have the linguistic and context. Next is extensive. So extensive reading is reading for enjoyment and develop reading skills. So we have skimming, scanning, and global. So next is writing. So writing is another macro skill which language teachers should master and teach students. So good writing skills may increase the chances of a person's success. Writing also is the process of using symbols to communicate thoughts and ideas in a readable way. So written works may be expository, descriptive, persuasive, and narrative. Next is the viewing. So, viewing skills allow students to pause, reflect, and think about the images they are seeing and analyze them. It gives an avenue for students to understand things and gain knowledge through information. So, there are types of viewing. We have the visual literacy and critical viewing. So, visual literacy is the skill to decipher the meaning from visual, according to George's 1999. And it is the ability to create visuals to convey effectively the ideas in mind, according to Volume 2003 and Haynish 1999. So, next is critical viewing. Critical viewing is the skill to understand and evaluate information from visuals, or it can be critical viewing can be used or seen every time you see movies or anything that is visual. And then it is the ability to analyze the composition of the picture.
So let's proceed to communicative competence. Communicative competence is the ability to achieve communicative goals, and it is the ability to select and apply skill effectively. And it is coined by Del Himes. So, Del Himes. Del Himes established disciplinary foundations for the comparative ethnographic study of language. And in communicative competence, it has 5 components. Which are the linguistic or grammatical competence, and the second is social linguistic competence, and the third is cultural competence, fourth, discourse competence, and strategic competence. In linguistic or grammatical competence is a knowledge of language codes such as phonology, morphology, syntax, and lexicon. And the second components of competence is the social linguistic competence. It is a knowledge of social cultural use of the language. And the third one is the cultural competence. It is awareness and sensitivity to others' culture and tradition. Fourth is the discourse competence. It is a knowledge of producing, comprehending, combining oral and written, like organizing words, phrases, and sentence. And the last one is the strategic competence. It is the ability to recognize, adjust, and repair verbal and non-verbal communication errors, which are the paraphrasing, shifting, and avoidance. In communicative competence, there are 3 principles, which are the CP, TP, and MP. The CP means communication principle. As teachers, we provide activities for students that push them to use language in a communicative context. In CP, for example, the drama, the reporting, or role-playing, the examples of communicative principle. So let's proceed to TP, or task principles. Teachers provide real-life activities to complete or do. In so doing, they learn and gain communicative competence. For example, task principle. If a teacher gives a task or some task to do your reporting or to do an essay for you to learn the task principle. Let's proceed to MP, or meaningful principle. Teacher must carefully choose authentic and engaging activities that create meaning for students for learning to take place and endure. Now let's proceed the speaking model, which is S stands for setting and scene, which is when and where communication takes place. Next is the P for participants. It is the speaker and audience. And E for ends, It is a purpose or goals and outcomes to persuade or to inform. Next is the act sequence. A stands for act sequence and form and order of events beginning, middle, and end. Next is the K, the key, which is the tone, manner, spirit, or the lively and serious. Next is I for instrumentalities. I is forms and styles of speech like informal or formal. The next is N stands for norms. It is a social rules like do's and don'ts. And the last one is the G for genre. It is a kind of speech, act, or events like anecdotes to entertain or give moral lessons.
So that ends our discussion about language, macro skills,
And communicative competence. So we hope that you learned something about our report. That's all. Thank you. Bye-bye.